Hello, by request, this is a video on my Bowie knives. This is the Ver Steeg Bowie. I made 15 of these and I have 2 left to finish. I'm going to finish them up before this video is posted actually. When I started my knife company, I was searching for kind of an iconic knife that would be a challenge to make and something that would kind of test my skills and push me forward. And I settled on the Marine Raider Bowie. So this is an original Marine Raider Bowie from World War II. This one was made by Collins. And if you don't know the story of these, we had a group of armed forces called the Marine Raiders, and they were a part of the Marines, and their job was to go through the South Pacific and clear out islands, and this was the knife they used. I think it was originally called the V44 survival machete or something like that. But they really liked the knife, and the reason they were assigned this one was because the K-bar wasn't ready for them yet. So to modernize this, I took a look at the original design, and the first thing I noticed was that it is not a full tang design, and that it's kind of got this brass guard here. And that brass guard is great if you're doing knife fighting and such like this, but how many people actually fight with their knives nowadays? The other thing is that when you try to make a knife, putting a brass guard like this over a full tang and having everything be level at the top, it's possible, but it's like extremely difficult without modern machining, and I basically have hand tools. Again, the other goal was to kind of modernize this design, and so I decided to make it with a full tang. I'm not sure what the original steel was, but it's probably some sort of a high carbon steel, and the reason this one doesn't have a lot of rust on it is because they put a mirror finish on it. So what I did was I took this blade shape and basically copied the blade shape straight onto this little wood template here, and then I thought about how to modernize it and how to include a guard, but have it be an integral part of the knife that can't possibly come off, and to have everything be full tang. So when I was looking around for a way to do that, I found this guy named Lon Humphrey. He's a friend of mine, and he makes these knives, and kind of one of his signature things is that he forges the guard in, and I'm going to show a little close-up of that. But if you forge the guard into the blade, you don't have to worry about sliding it over a tang, so you can make the tang whatever shape you want, and then it can't come off, it can't loosen because it's part of the blade itself. And I thought that was a really neat way of doing it, so I learned how he was doing it, and I basically lifted it wholesale. He knows I did it, and I always give him credit for that. If you're interested in more knives with this feature, I'm going to be making some, but Lon has been making them for years, and he's a full-time knife maker. He forges just like I do, only he's probably a lot better at it. Now, one reason I've been so tight-lipped about these is that a kind of a classic mistake that knife makers make is they'll show a picture, announce a project, and everybody will go crazy about it, and then they'll get stuck with orders and orders and orders, and then they take money and they do all these things, and then everybody's mad because it took forever to make their knife. What I wanted to do is make all 15 of them and have them available. Well, it was a great plan, except that as soon as I would have one done, somebody would find out about it and they'd buy it. So at this point I only have 3 left unsold. They're all stamped with my maker stamp, and I'll show a close-up of that, and they're all numbered, so they're numbered 1 to 15. I'm not making any more of these because they're a pain in the butt to make, and it was an extremely ambitious project for a first knife out of a knife company, but I pulled it off, and I'm pretty proud of it. But the reason I'm not going to make any more is I started with 5 5-foot-long pieces of 52-100 steel. So this is a high carbon steel, it's bearing steel, 1/4 inch thick, and I think it was 3 inches tall, that I ordered from New Jersey Steel Baron. Then I cut them into lengths, and then I took the template and used a Sharpie to put this on the template, then I kind of ground them to rough shape, then I had to forge in the guards. Then I finished grinding the shape the rest of the way and getting down to just about a little bit over a quarter, like a quarter, the money quarter thick, so that during heat treat these wouldn't warp. And I didn't want to do like a backyard heat treat on these. I wanted to do something like real so that I could trust that it was going to be good. So I found a guy named Tim Zawada, and he's been on the Knife Journal podcast with us, and he's really good at designing heat treat protocols. He makes his own steel. I mean, the guy knows what he's doing. So I described everything I'd done to the knives, and he designed a heat treat protocol for this. And then the problem was to find somebody that could carry it out, because it was fairly complicated to get these to be 59 to 60 Rockwell hardness and then have a metallurgically correct heat treat, because it's not just the RC hardness, it's kind of how you got there. You can have something that's 60 RC hardness, but if the heat treat wasn't executed right, you're going to have problems with the blade, and I wanted to avoid that. So I found another guy named Randy Buckmaster, and I sent all the blanks off, and he did the heat treat of these using using salt tanks. So it's a real precisely temperature controlled process, and they've been awesome. I've tested these, pretty extensively, and the edge isn't going anywhere. The next thing to do was to make the handle scales, pin everything up, glue everything up, and then shape the handles. And by the time all that's done, you're about 10 hours into each blade, and you end up with this. And from here, these have to be finished, and that's about an hour and a half per blade. So labor intensive. I'm not making any more of these. They're priced at $300 for one of these. The other thing you're going to notice about these is the sheath. Now the sheath, I worked with Dwayne Keith Puckett of Armor All Leather, and I chose him because I buy his stuff. He's a custom sheath maker, and he makes a lot of sheaths for guys that buy bussies and other custom knives. And I own 2 of his sheaths, and I've always been really impressed by his work. So this sheath was designed by him kind of to my specifications. I wanted it to be ambidextrous. So the way these work is your knife fits in the sheath, and then the strap goes over the guard and snaps in place so that it won't come out. Well, this is for right-handed carry. If you want it left-handed carry, just turn the knife around and switch the strap to the other side, and voila, then you have a left-handed sheath. That was important to me because I'm left-handed, and it's a feature I always try to look for in people's knives and sheaths, that they're doing that. The added benefit of having him do these, and this wasn't intentional, but when I submitted the order, his sewing machine broke. So these are hand-stitched. If you want to buy one of these, you can send me an email, averageIowaguy@gmail.com, or you can find the Ver Steeg Blades Facebook page, and I'll put a little link in the description, and you can contact me through there. I don't know how long these are going to last. Hopefully you'll get one if you really want one. Like I said, there's 15 of them in existence, and I am not making any more. Thanks for watching.